in this video, I'm going to take this terracotta bowl and turn it into a really cute cactus arrangement. So I have this terracotta bowl. It's probably about 12 inches in diameter, and it's actually pretty shallow, and I thought it would be the perfect thing to make a really cute sort of desert inspired cactus landscape arrangement. I have a bunch of little small cactuses that I've collected for a while. This is just from IKEA. It's actually starting to bloom, so that's pretty exciting. This is an opuntia bunny ear cactus. You can see where it gets the name from, but as cute as it looks, do not touch. These are the kind of spines that will really wreck you. I actually found these two pads, I actually found on the ground at a neighbor's house that had fallen off, and they were in really bad shape. So I took them home, nursed them back to health, and they've grown new petals coming out. I have some other ones that I've bought. These are kind of some cute succulents, a little Haworthia, that I thought would go really well in a really cute desert inspired landscape. Some of these cactus, like this is pretty soft, and this one's pretty soft. These ones are okay to touch, but I really thought this would make kind of for a cool arrangement. And I'm going to use, rather than pack them together like I usually do when I put together succulent arrangements, I'm going to like space them out a little bit more. I have some cool desert sand filler that I think will really finish it off and make it look really pretty. I'm also going to use some rocks and other things to just really make it a little bit more visually interesting. So right now I've started off with, you can see there is some soil in here, and I had just stored an old succulent in here, and actually you can see everything's falling out the bottom. That's because there's a really big drainage hole, which is important when you are working with cactus and succulents. They prefer a really sandy, gritty mix. We did get some stones mixed in there, but that's totally fine. And I'm going to use a cactus and succulent mix, which is more like this. It's a lot more sandy. There's not as much organic material. There's a lot of stones, sand. There's some perlite in here. So that's going to be the basis for my arrangement. Cactus care is actually pretty similar to regular succulent care. They hold all the moisture in their pads. That's why they're so drought resistant. When you do water them, which isn't very often, but when you do water them, give them a really big soak. It's almost like recreating those desert conditions where you'd have a really almost like monsoon-like rain and then no rain for a really long time. So succulents and cactus really prefer those conditions. So I'm going to start with filling this up with some of my cactus mix, and then I'm going to start arranging the plants on top of that, and then we'll fill it back in with more cactus mix. I prefer using an organic cactus and succulent mix. As you can see, it's got added pumice, lava rock, and sand. So that's really great for drainage for these kind of plants. And my mix is actually kind of wet at the moment because it's been sitting out in the rain, but that's okay. We're not using cuttings. If we were using these plants from cuttings, you'd want to make sure that your soil is completely dry before placing them in to get re-rooted. So let's just start filling in with some soil. So I like how this plant kind of spills over a little bit, so I'm going to put this right up to the edge because I think that'll be cool if it spills over this pot. And what's cool as well with all of these, you can actually see where, you know, you could take this apart and put it probably in a couple of different places or repropagate it. Look how this is just already starting to boop, fall off a small bit. And you can even see there's some new little roots coming out of here. So, and it's just fallen off, which is all right. I'm gonna actually place it right back in like so, and I'm just going to leave this here, and it is kind of at an angle, which is okay. I'm going to fill in the soil around. I love this little succulent. I think they're called baby toes. That's the like general name for them. There's a lot of really cute pebbles in there, so I'm gonna set those aside actually, because I'm actually gonna use them. Use my succulent tools to help take this out. See, the roots have actually gone through, which is part of the reason it's hard to get it out. There we go. Definitely ready to be repotted. This one is really cute, little cactus. I don't know if it's a torch cactus. It doesn't hurt to the touch. I was given this as a gift several years ago, which I still love, but I think it's ready to move into a different arrangement. These are some cool ones. You can see in a lovely baking dish. A neighbor had left these out on the side of the road in a very overgrown dish, but now we'll get to use them again. Some cool stones that I've collected. This fossil, I think this one's too big, but I think these will make it look really put together. Now I'm afraid to use this plant. I'm going to put some gloves on. Actually, in the meantime, I'm going to plant my Haworthia. Oh my gosh, this one's really ready to be watered. It's interesting. I don't know if these are pups coming out, possibly, now that I have more room to move around. It must be thirsty. All right, am I gonna put this whole thing in? Okay. This is what I was looking at in the back, and I'm probably further flat down. Now, once that's cleaned up, look how pretty that is. So, put that around there. I really do not want to touch this. If you're wondering my hesitation with this, and I should have, there we go. This is what I'm looking for. When you actually see where this fell off, where this plant rerouted itself. So it was a broken piece and it calloused over and rooted from down there. We've got two pieces.
Yes, sir.
Which piece do we want in here? You know, I think this one. Make it taller. is actually isopropyl alcohol, and I'm just going to use it to kind of clean it off. I'm going to hide this kind of not so good looking back. Well, you gotta love a cactus like this. I have a few other succulents I could choose from. But I do have down here, this is kind of interesting. This is a little euphorbia that I think would be kind of cool. Let's add that. Okay, I think we're nearly done. You know, I think having some interesting rock, and this could be adding too much because like I said, I wanted it to have kind of an empty space. That little fly, that's a little hoverfly. It looks like a yellow jacket, but it's actually a fly, interestingly enough. So otherwise I'd be batting it away, but you gotta love our little native Californian flies. Where will I put this? Over here? Back here? Let's put it back here. All right, now we're gonna finish filling in with our soil, making sure all our roots are nicely covered. This little teddy bear cactus actually put its spikes all over this Haworthia. Oh my gosh, I'm probably covered in spikes and don't even realize it. They are nasty. All right, I'm pretty happy with how this is looking. The euphorbia, might move that. Is that kind of a bit silly? Is this too much? I think that's better. I'm gonna put my different stones in, unless it goes here or here. No, let's not include that. Less is more. Some other interesting things. Let's see, I've got seashells, glass, might be too much. The lava rocks, actually, I think those are good. This will be a little challenge getting the sand in. Squishing the soil down kind of flat. These little succulent tools have just been so helpful. I probably should have cleaned this off first before I start adding the sand. Let's see. Okay. I mean, so far, I think that looks really cool. Just gonna add a last bit of sand. We have plenty of sand, so shouldn't be too overly stingy with the sand. No! Pretty little blooming one. My leftover little bits of gravel. I do think if I wet that sand, it'll kind of help it stick around. And here is how it turned out so far, or I should say in the end. Now let's see, we've got our little cute circly cactuses, our bunny ear cactus, our Haworthia, the baby toes, some really cool stones, and then to really make it look really cool, I have one final addition to add to this. This is a gopher skull I found in my front yard when I was digging up my garden. I think that'll really add to the desert landscape. Now, what do you think? I almost forgot my lava rocks. There, what do we think? And that is it, my beautiful desert cactus landscape put together in just about an hour or so. If you have any questions, please do put them in the comments below. I try to answer every comment that I get. And then, of course, don't forget you can find me on Instagram and TikTok, and don't forget to subscribe.